I started using the Realme 11 Pro last week and I'm really turned off by this phone. That's because it has a very bad bloatware situation. Now, during the setup process itself, the phone asked me to download a bunch of these absolutely ridiculous apps. I could see it, so I didn't select most of them. But a lot of users who are not so tech savvy might end up selecting them and might end up with a phone full of absolutely unwanted and ridiculous apps. But here's the unfortunate thing. Now, while I opted out of most of these apps, once I was able to set up the phone, I was still welcome to a phone full of bloatware. Just look at this. Josh, Moj, Telehunt, all these apps, I didn't install them. There is even this public app. I mean, what the hell is even public? And as soon as you open it, it asks for your location access. And this doesn't end here. Now, I could uninstall some of these apps, but there are so many others like Realme's own music player or the app market or the game center, which you can't absolutely get rid of. And what makes matters worse is that after all of this, I was still getting notifications and ads from some apps which I didn't even open once. And in the app drawer, the app market was giving me recommendations to download more apps. I mean, I absolutely did not expect from Realme, a brand that has been in the Indian market for quite some time now, and it's been getting constant feedback around this bloatware and this whole pre-installed app situation. Now, if I'm a buyer, I would look at this and I will not buy this one. Simple as that. Because I'm absolutely annoyed. It's very difficult to look beyond this. But as a reviewer, I still have a duty. So what I'm going to do from here on is present some facts, and if in case you are still interested in this phone, do watch this video till the very end so that you may be able to make up your mind or not. Realme has launched two new phones as part of this lineup, the Realme 11 Pro and the Realme 11 Pro Plus. Both these phones are very similar in terms of specifications. The only major difference is in terms of the camera system, and that is not just limited to the fact that the 11 Pro Plus has a far better 200 megapixel primary sensor, but in general it also has a better camera system. But apart from that, both these phones are very similar. Now, I want to start with the design of this phone, and honestly I don't have too many things to complain about. It's a good looking phone, really nice weight distribution here. It's slim, lightweight. In fact, when I first saw the pictures, I thought it will be slightly top heavy because of this camera module, but Realme has distributed the weight really well, and it's not even too slippery. I know a lot of people are drooling over that beige faux leather variant which Realme has launched alongside this black one, but I think this works for me better simply because it is far more assuring and offers a better grip. It's not slippery, doesn't catch any fingerprint smudges as well. What adds to the premiumness of this phone is this curved display and really slim bezels. Obviously, Realme has skipped a few things here. There is no 3.5mm headphone jack, there is no official IP rating on this phone, and the SIM slot is a hybrid slot, so you can either use two SIM cards or you can use one SD card slot and extend the storage to 512 GB. Moving on to the display, I like what Realme has done here. There's a 6.7-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel with 120Hz refresh rate and 950 nits of peak brightness. And I like what Realme has done with the display here. Really slim and nice bezels, even the chin is pretty slim. It's a smooth display, good to interact with. It's mostly comfortable to use in the outdoors. You can easily browse or text on a bright sunny day, but there is no escaping the color inaccuracy. The greens are really deep greens, red is just popping out. It's like every color has been added 2 extra layers of coating. Now, I tried switching the color profile to natural. While it solved some of these issues, some others still persisted. The speaker output is pretty decent though. Hear it yourself. I know that this was recorded using a microphone, but will still give you some idea about the audio quality on this one. The other issue with the display though is the positioning of the in-display fingerprint sensor. It's too low, at least for me. It took me some time to get used to of it, but I would have ideally wanted it a couple of inches higher. This phone comes with MediaTek Dimensity 7050 chip, which is fast becoming a segment favorite here. This is the same chip which was recently used on the Lava Agni 2, which is making a lot of headlines by the way. And if you guys want a video on that phone, do let me know, because we'll try and procure that and make a video on it as well. But coming back to the Dimensity 7050, now architecture wise this is very similar to the Snapdragon 778G, which was recently used on the Poco X5 Pro as well, and it reflects in the benchmark scores as well. In fact, this phone surprisingly scored more than the Realme 11 Pro Plus on Antutu, but even here the newer Dimensity chip is behind the 2-year-old Snapdragon 778G, and this doesn't make up for a good CV. The Geekbench scores show good results in single core performance, but again the phone is way behind the X5 Pro in multi-core performance. But in terms of day-to-day performance, the phone holds up really well. It managed the load well while browsing the internet, watching videos, replying to messages, or while taking calls. Surprisingly, the gaming performance was also fine. The phone kept its temperature under control during 30-minute Asphalt 9 session, but the chip has its limitations. It doesn't support the highest graphic preset on BGMI. Since I've already addressed the software issue, I'm not getting into details again. What you get with this phone are 2 years of Android update, so that's another key thing to keep in mind. Now when I read that this phone has a 100 megapixel main camera, I was kind of excited. But when I saw that it has a 2 megapixel portrait lens, I was like, what the hell? मतलब कुछ भी चल रहा है यार, एक बढ़िया कैमरा डाल दो, उसके अलावा कुछ भी लगा दो. Now the main camera kind of surprised me. It handles colors really well for the price. As you can see in the first two images, one clicked inside while second was taken in sharp daylight. Even in this picture you can see there is a lot of reds, greens and blues, all handled very well by the camera. It does suffer with that mid-range phone problem though, which is the tendency to overexpose parts of the image at times. As you can see in this image, the left part of the sofa is completely washed out, or here where the signboard is clearly overexposed. The problem is more prominent while using the zoom in. In this picture, the 2x shot clearly has poor contrast. The same thing happens again here, where the picture in 1x is sharper, has better details and contrast. But when the sun is not so sharp, you can still take good pictures at 2x like this one, where the India Today logo is clear and sharp. The portrait game is strong. I managed some good and well detailed images. At this point, I must say that I missed using the ultra wide angle camera on this phone. Now while we may take it for granted, it does come very handy while taking group pictures or while capturing buildings from a closer distance. Coming to low light images, the camera does fine with limited light source, as you can see in these two images, but struggles at night and images lack details. This brings me to the front, and that's where the real problem is. I mean, all the selfies I took on this phone lacked sharpness and were overexposed. Now one good thing is that this phone supports 4K video recording from the rear camera, and you can have a clear and fair idea about the video quality in this video. Also, the audio is also being recorded from the phone's microphone, and there's a car right behind me. There's some work going on, so you will have a clear idea about the audio performance, the microphone quality of this phone as well. Now that you have seen the rear camera sample, well, this one is being recorded from the front camera of the Realme 11 Pro, and right behind me there's some water flowing, so you can hear the noise as well. So you'll get a clear idea about the video quality of this camera as well. So there's a bit of overexposing here and there, and the front camera is not that great, but overall there's still a pretty decent camera system for the price. And the real strength of this phone is the battery backup. Now this one comes with a 5000 mAh battery, and just to put numbers to claims, well, it only drained 4% of battery during a 45-minute video playback, and during the 30-minute Asphalt 9 session, it only lost about 5 to 6% of its battery. And charging takes about 45 minutes to go from 0 to 100%. The Realme 11 Pro is like you make a beautiful painting. It's unique, it's gorgeous, but then for some reason you add some random zigzag lines on top of it and you completely ruin the whole thing. I mean, just look at this. This was supposed to be a pretty solid phone for the price. It had the looks, it had the display, the performance was okay, and even the camera was passable. But it's the software that ruins the whole experience, that scars me as a user, and for that particular reason, it's very difficult to recommend this phone. If the software situation was a little better, or if Realme can somehow make it still better, then of course this becomes a decent option in the segment. But with this current software, I would probably not spend my money on that. I would have given this phone 7 out of 10, but because of that whole bloatware situation, I'm reducing one more point and I'm giving it 6 out of 10. That's the fiber rating. You let me know what do you think about the Realme 11 Pro. What are your thoughts? If you want me to compare this phone with any other phone, do let me know that as well, and keep watching Fiber for such videos.